Hello, welcome to our UE Bristol Ask Us. Okay, hello, welcome to our UE Bristol's Ask Us Anything live stream. I'm here with.
I'm Jodie and I work in the student admin team.
I'm Liz and I'm from the Wellbeing service.
I'm Callum, I work within the Accommodation services team.
So what we're going to do is just run through a couple of questions. Please do ask any questions you have yourselves and then we'll go through them at the end. So Liz, what's the Wellbeing service? Already off to a good start.
Good start. The Wellbeing service is a service for students at UE. That's students on the Frenchay campus, the Glenside, Barrow Ashton and the Arnold Feely campus. And we also do some satellite work with colleges that are affiliated with UE. But we provide counselling, mental health support and mentoring for the students who are with us. We've also got things like online counselling through COOF, and we run a series of emotional resilience workshops throughout the year delivered by students.
So any student that's at UE can just come at any time?
Yeah, if we have drop-in sessions, so you can come to a drop-in session on the Frenchay campus Monday, Friday 2 till 4 when term starts again. That was well remembered. And you can book regular ongoing appointments with us by registering online, but I suspect you may ask me about that later as well.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So,
so counselling, mental health support and mentoring to just the students at UE. Staff have provision elsewhere if they need that kind of support.
Amazing. So Callum,
Yeah.
there you go. When can I move into my accommodation?
So it depends exactly on where you are within accommodation. Most of the contracts will start this coming up Monday, on Monday the 10th. We're expecting that to be quite a busy day. So if that's the only day then you can come, you're more than welcome to move in then. But we are recommending that if you have a bit of flexibility to perhaps try and leave it a little bit later in the week, as we're expecting that to be a slightly quieter time. We have asked people to let us know when they're planning on moving in, but that's not mandatory. It's just so that we can have the appropriate number of staff on site accordingly to make sure that we can accommodate everyone who's moving in at that time. For the city centre students, they are able to move in from tomorrow, Saturday the 8th. And if they have any questions at all about the moving in procedure, essentially you just need to bring the key collection letter and some photographic ID, and that's really all you need to move in. But if they do have any questions at all, they're more than welcome to give us a call or send us an email at any time.
Amazing. And so Jodie, how do I complete my registration?
So most of your registration should be able to be done online. If you've had a few kind of things that haven't quite finished going through admissions, then it's probably best to check your Welcome website. But once all your admission stuff is all ready and sorted, you should then get sent an email with your user ID, and that basically is your login to your My UE, which will be your everything for your study at UE. So everything will be on there. Modules, marks, addresses, contacts, anything like that. And then it's basically just a tab on your My UE, which is called Registration, and you just work your way through it. It's just confirming things like your course, your emergency contacts, your addresses, and then that's it really.
Amazing. So going back to Liz, how do I register with the Wellbeing service?
You look on our website, you find that under the main UE website. I think there's a subcategory of health and wellbeing, and you find wellbeing, or just put wellbeing into the search bar, it's quicker. There is an option on that page to register, and you complete a short form that just asks for, again, things like name, student number, course, those kind of things. And we ask you to fill in a questionnaire about how you're doing at the minute, so we've got an idea about what issues are troubling you. And then one of our admin team gets in touch with you to set up an appointment, and you come and meet with one of our practitioners and we take it from there.
Amazing.
We also have a Twitter feed.
So, Callum, I've got a car. I want to come to uni. I live on campus. Where can I park?
So essentially, if you are living on Frenchay campus, you won't be able to bring a car, unfortunately. Parking is very limited, and therefore we're not able to offer that provision to any students who are living on Frenchay campus at all. There is a limited amount of car parking available over at Glenside campus and the Hollies, but that is subject to a car parking permit system, and that is first come, first served. So once they're gone, they're gone. If you're living within the city centre accommodation, again, it's discouraged because the only kind of parking provision that there is down there are the private car parks, which will be very expensive if you're going to be there all year. So we try to dissuade people from bringing their cars, particularly if they're on Frenchay or down at the city centre. However, if you do need it, for example, for a placement, or for whatever the reason might be, and you're over at Glenshead campus or the Hollies, then you should hopefully be able to secure a car parking permit.
Amazing. Okay. So back to Jodie again. Where do I get my ID card?
So ID cards, firstly, make sure that you've uploaded a photo to your MyUE, as that's quite a lot of things people don't
Is there
do.
any like limitations? Like, can I not smile? Do I have to wear something?
No, nothing like that. As long as it's your face, you know,
Okay.
we'd like to
That's a
see
good
your
start.
like to see your face on there. You know, make sure it's you. Maybe not a group shot. It's going to be a bit confusing for people. So yeah, as long as you've uploaded your photo and you've completed as much of your registration as you can. Sometimes that's just up to the fees section if you've got a few issues maybe with student finance or anything like that. But as long as you've provisionally registered, then most of the ID cards will be ready for the registration big event. So that's on the 14th and 15th of September, so Friday and Saturday next week, over at the ECC, and all the cards will be there ready for you to collect. If you can't get to any of those events, we also run a registration hub in the library at Frenchay, and that's for 3 weeks going on. And again, you'll just be able to come along, collect your ID card. Do bring some photo ID with you, just so we can verify that it is you, and then you get your student ID.
Amazing. So back to now Liz. So if I'm struggling my first week, first few weeks, feeling quite homesick, who can I speak to?
Well, you can speak to friends that you've made. It's quite possible that there'll be other people feeling the same way as you. You're really unlikely to be the only person struggling with feelings of homesickness or the whole "what am I doing here" as a student. You are very unlikely to be the only one experiencing that. So you could talk to your friends that you've made in halls. You might want to talk a bit to your mum or dad. You might want to talk to friends from home. People will understand these kind of things. But if you need some extra support, the Wellbeing Service, as I said, we do drop-ins on the Frenchay campus from 2 till 4, Monday to Friday. We're based in Felixstowe Court. When you get your campus maps, which obviously you'll memorise within seconds, you can find Felixstowe Court and you can come and see one of our practitioners. And we can talk with you a little bit about things that you could do that might be able to help you. We also have emotional resilience workshops that you can sign up to. I think they're signed up online through InfoHub. That's the word, isn't it? So you can book yourself onto emotional resilience workshops to learn from other students who've been through the same thing. That might be quite helpful to do as well.
Okay. So now back to Callum. Who will I be living with if I move into accommodation here in Frenchay or city centre?
Sure, so that's one of the biggest questions that we get asked. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to answer it technically.
Okay.
Because of the big focus we've got on, particularly at the moment regarding data protection, we're not allowed to tell anyone who they're actually living with. We can answer some generic questions. We can tell you how many other people you're living with, whether you're in a same-sex or a mixed-sex house. We can tell you stuff like that, but we won't be able to give you anything more specific than that. All we can recommend is that the Students' Union are running a group of Halls Life Facebook pages, and on there, if you are keen to see who you're going to be living with, then we encourage people to go onto that website, put in their details, say which flat they're in, and then see if anyone else from that flat is on that site as well. But yeah, unfortunately, we're not able to disclose that information. But on that social media page, if there are other residents in there and they choose to disclose that to everyone else in there, then that's probably the best way to find out. Or you can just wait until you move in and
Be
be
surprised.
that
From experience, I did the exact same thing when I lived in Markagate my first year. I did actively seek who my flatmates are, so I typed in the flat number, so my name of a place, and people just popped up. So, oh, I live with you, oh, amazing, and kind of started chatting. So I think if you really want to know these people, it's a good way to kind of start building friendship before you even move in.
Yeah. The only thing to keep in mind, of course, is that it is entirely optional, and people have to opt into it. So we do get some people who email or call us and say, I haven't met anyone yet. I'm on that group. Just keep in mind that perhaps not everyone is on that site, and just because you can't find anyone else, or you might only find 1 or 2 people, doesn't mean that you won't have other people in the flat. It just means that perhaps they haven't yet gone to the site, or perhaps they're just waiting to move in before they meet you, so please don't worry about that.
Okay, so now back to Jodie. So, do I have to attend a welcome event at all? Is it compulsory?
You don't have to attend a welcome event, obviously. We'd encourage everybody to, just because it's a really nice way to come along, sort of have a bit of a look around UE, good way to meet a lot of staff as well. You know, there's a lot of staff sort of at those events, as well as picking up your ID card and things like that. There's lots of flyers, and it just really showcases all of the different services and things that are at you know, around at UE, such as
Yeah, we have a
Wellbeing.
stall there.
So maths, money advice and fund service, they've got a stall there. There'll be student advisors there, so that can be really handy. And there's also faculty stands as well. So each of the 4 main faculties have a stand there, so you could maybe meet some of your academics early or have a bit of an idea as to the other subjects that are going on at UE. So it's a really nice event. It's not compulsory, you don't have to stay for a long time. Always good to get a free pen and you know, bags and things like that. So
Amazing.
worth it for the freebies.
So, if you've got any questions regarding City Campus, I'm actually based at Awanafini, under my 3rd year. So, a lot of experience, a lot of memories. So, if you've got any questions that you think, actually, I would just want to be aware of that before I move into uni, shoot and I'll hope to answer them all. So now, Liz, I got an emergency. I need to talk to someone very urgently. Who do I speak to?
In that
regards-
case, that is where drop-in is best place to help you. But it does only run from 2 till 4.
Mm-hmm.
If you have sort of an emergency situation outside of that, I suppose it depends what the emergency is. If it's an emergency like you have fallen down the stairs and broken your leg, which I hope does not happen to you, but you know, things happen. That's an obvious 999 job. It might be that there's emergency related to accommodation. There's something terrible that's happened, like a broken window. That's kind of yes. In which case, the accommodation stuff are very useful to get hold of for those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having a sort of emergency related to your personal life, your emotional state, well-being, we may be able to help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
On our website, there's our phone number, so you can contact us outside of the drop-in times, still working hours, still Monday, Friday, 9 to 5. But yeah, outside of working times, emergencies are best dealt with by the emergency services. But we do have practitioners available who can respond to critical incidents and emergencies as necessary.
So, if you're based at the satellite campus, say Watershed, Spike Island, or on Feely, do you have to come to Franche to see someone from Wellbeing?
For a drop-in, yeah. You can still contact us by phone, and we can do phone appointments for drop-ins as well, and sometimes that's really helpful, just to speak to somebody when you can't get there face-to-face. Ideally, we would like to be able to do drop-ins at all campuses, but alas, we don't have enough practitioners.
Of course. So, back to accommodation.
Yeah.
I live there, I'm loving life. My friends are wondering if they can pop down. Can I have visitors?
Yep, so the rules are quite straightforward. You're allowed to have 1 adult visitor, so that's 18 or over, for a maximum of 2 nights in any 7. And those are basically the rules. As long as you sign the visitor in, so all you need to do for that is either go directly to Cotswolds Court, if you live in the Student Village or Carroll Court, or Wolves Court Park, customer service desk during normal working hours, and sign them in, and they'll just take some details. And really it's just for our notice that in case there was an emergency or we needed to know who else was in the building, we know that they're there. And as long as you're sticking within those rules of no more than 2 nights in any 7, that should be fine. If for whatever reason you do want or feel that you should be able to have more than 1 visitor, for whatever the reason might be, you are more than welcome to contact the accommodation team directly. Essentially, each courtyard has a number of accommodation managers, and they're the ones responsible for anything that goes on within their courtyard. So if, say, you've got an event coming up, or you're going through a bit of a rough time and you have a number of friends or some family members who are coming to visit you, as long as you get permission from the accommodation manager, they do sometimes in exceptional circumstances allow you to have more than 1 visitor. But it is best to get permission first. Obviously we don't want you to just let people into the building without letting us know. And as long as you stick with that, then there shouldn't be any problems. We also have a visitor sign-in sheet through the browser page, which Cotswolds Court and Wolves Court Park staff can also direct applicants and students to, and they can sign in their guests remotely as well.
So, it's an instance where, say, I've got a dog or cat, and they haven't seen me forever, and I can't go home. Can they come to me? Come to my accommodation? Or
Good luck getting a cat on a long journey.
do you want to single anyone out?
Not really, I'm afraid. As a general rule, we don't allow pets within the accommodation, even if it's just for a brief visit. We prefer them not to be in there. we don't know how many other people within the property may have allergies, and obviously that could affect the other people staying there, particularly within the large blocks where we have communal entranceway. In very rare cases, we may allow a student to bring a pet, whether that's for a guide dog or for other suitable reasons. We may permit someone to actually bring a pet, but for the vast majority of cases, we ask people to keep pets outside of the accommodation. I would very much appreciate that.
So back to Jodie. Can I change modules at any point, or is there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very dependent on your course and what year you're in. So a lot of level 1, it is just compulsory modules. So unfortunately, they're the ones you're going to have to do for your first year. But where you do have optional modules, yeah, it's absolutely fine to change your options. There's something online called the Online Module Choices website, which you can also find through the normal UE website. And that's open at the moment and is open until the beginning of October. And students can just go on and update module choices themselves. If they wanted to have a bit of a chat about, you know, what module choices were right for them, obviously they could pop and see their programme leader. All of their details are on the website as well. Or they'd be able to just book an appointment through any of the info points for a student advisor appointment. And again, they could just sit and talk through any options and also help them update the online module choices if they wanted.
Amazing, okay. And then back to Callum. Can I bring with me, like, when I move in, like a mini fridge or a heater, or should I just stick to what's already provided in the accommodation?
Well, there are some things that we recommend people buy. So, for example, we do provide an ironing board, but we don't provide an iron within every flat. So with items like that, we recommend that you wait until you've actually moved in and see if anyone else has brought one of those items. Toasters is a big one. We've often had a situation where 6 people out of 6 will bring a toaster, and obviously that's not necessary.
What if you really like toast?
If you really want to bring one, you can. With things like mini fridges, we only really permit them within accommodation for medical reasons. So, for example, if you need to store insulin or any other kind of medicine or certain types of food, that is fine, but we will just ask for some medical evidence first to permit that. If there's any items in particular that you're not sure about, please feel free to email us or call us and we'll be happy to let you know whether or not they're permitted. But generally speaking, we try to keep any kind of cooking appliances out of bedrooms. So no toasters or kettles or anything like that in rooms. No rice cookers in the rooms. I could go on and on. There's all kinds of
my experience.
Yeah, many things. But yes, if you're not sure about anything or you have a particular item in mind, then feel free to ask us, and there's also the terms and conditions online. But as a general rule, anything that's kind of cooking related, either check with us or try and keep it in the kitchen area if you can.
Amazing. And in regards to Glenside flats, where can I collect my keys from?
So during working hours, we will have, because most of the contracts start on Monday, we will have members of staff down at Glenside. They are based at the welcome point, and students can go there to pick up their keys. They just need to bring their key collection letter, and some photographic ID would also be very helpful. Outside of those times, we will have the Glenside porters at the Porters Lodge. They will be on call. So if at any point you turn up late at night or very early in the morning and the main day staff haven't arrived yet, there will be a number that you can call on the website and they will be able to give you access.
Okay, and this is, I think, mostly advice to anyone, but any advice for new starters living at home in terms of like well-being, just for themselves?
Sort of local students.
Well, I assume so.
Living at home.
Just, yeah,
I think
students living at home.
there is a society for students who live at home, I think, in the Student Union Society. There's something.
I think so.
Yeah. Probably the advice is to enjoy the best parts of being at home, but also make sure that you don't cut yourself off from the university environment and the community that is here, because I think that's quite a challenge. I think, isn't it, to how to sort of get a full student experience while you're not actually living in campus, because so much of the way university life is about campus living experience, isn't it? So making sure that you get involved in all the things that you want to be involved in, and don't let the fact that you don't live in halls on campus stop you from getting on with the things that you want to do.
Definitely. I think I personally did live on campus, and but I have friends who didn't. And I think what's most important is, like Liz said, is get involved with society. You need the sports, you need to get get to know people, because when it comes to the second year and you move out, those are the people that you'll have to talk about finding a house, finding a flat. And without that communication, you come to the second year, and if you decide to opt in to live in Bristol, then you're already 10 steps ahead, as if you were, by not communicating with people in the first place. I think it's really vital to kind of make that connection. And even if you're living at home, it makes no difference. It just means that you're not on campus, you're just at home at your own leisure.
I remember when I actually came to UE initially, a number of my friends stayed at home because they were local Bristol students, and they did pretty much everything that the rest of us did, and they didn't feel left out. They stayed at home normally for financial reasons, and that was absolutely fine. They felt just as much a part of student life as anyone else. We do get a number of applications from students who live in the local area, particularly Bristol or Cheltenham or Gloucester, and we will get a few students who, essentially we'd like to remind the students that once they sign a contract, they are then obliged to pay for it. And we do sometimes get some local students who move into accommodation and then realise, okay, I may not be able to afford this, and then they will ask to move out without realising that we've got financial obligations. So don't feel at all put out that you know you're staying at home rather than moving into a student accommodation. As a number of students who do move up, a number of them will move back home again. So just from an accommodation point of view, there's very little difference, I'd say, in regards to that.
Okay, and then back to Liz again. So can I talk to someone online instead? So if I can't talk on the phone, I don't feel comfortable enough, or don't have the time, don't feel comfortable talking with someone in one-to-one, is it possible for me to chat with someone online?
Yes, we have an online counselling service that's run by Cooth, who are a separate company. Fun fact, we are the first university in the UK to make use of online counselling in that way.
Super.
But we have a link to Cooth on the Wellbeing website, so if you look on our website you can see how you can sign up for Cooth, and it's just for the students at the university. It's not staffed by wellbeing practitioners, but we work very closely with them so that they understand how we run our service and the needs that our students may have. So yes, Cooth student is the way forward for online counselling.
Super. Now, sounds another generic one, but what is a student ID used for? So obviously I've got my perspective, what it's used, but to new students, how would you explain?
So mainly it's a lot to do with access. So if you want to access the library or any rooms kind of after hours, your student ID will just give you access to all of those things. It's also your library card, so if you want to take any books out or anything like that. And it's also really handy for student discounts.
The other thing I'd say, if you're say on Barrow campus and you're studying any of the art subjects, you get I think £75 on your card, which you can spend in on-campus shop on any of the materials, so books, sketchbooks, pencils, anything you can think of is available in the shop. And it all can also be used to pay for printing, so like screen printing if you're really into that, just any sort of printing, digital, anything you can think of. It's on there, and it's every year. If you don't spend that £75 or however much it is now, it doesn't get lost, it gets carried on to next year, so you can either build it up if you don't spend it, or just go mad and spend it all in your first week. So it's always that. So, Callum, advice for first year students who live in private accommodation plus won't be able to experience a life on campus.
Well, this year in particular, we've had a very large number of applications. I believe we had, I don't know the exact number as to how many people came through clearing, but we had a very, very large number of people applying for accommodation this year, and we only have a limited number. We're very much restricted to the rooms that we can give out based on those students who either didn't meet the conditions of their offer when results day came around or decided to defer. So although we had a very large number of people apply for accommodation over clearing, a significant number of them will be going into private simply because we don't have the capacity to hold them. What we would say is that the Students' Union and both ourselves can offer a wide range of guidance for living within the private sector. You're certainly not by yourself. There are, like I said, a large number of first years, particularly this year, who are going into either the big blocks in the city centre or to private houses owned by landlords. So there will be a very large number of students there. So please don't feel worried at all about that. There are, particularly in the local area, a large number of student houses, and there are ample transportation links all the way up to Frenchay, Glenside and the city campus as well. So again, it's understandable there might be a little bit of anxiety because it may not have been how you plan things in your head, but please, like I said, please don't worry. There will be a lot of other students in the same boat as yourself, and of course all the second and third years will be in private as well, because we can only really allow first years onto campus. So try not to worry about it too much, and the Students' Union and both ourselves are happy to give any advice if there's anything specific that you're worried about.
If you just wouldn't mind running through what documents we need to bring in the day we move in again, just to clarify.
Sure. So the two main things that you need to bring in are the key collection letter and some photographic ID. The ID can be anything you like, passport, driver's license, anything like that. The key collection letter should have been emailed to you within the last week or so, so do check the email accounts that you've registered with us. If you can't find it for whatever reason, feel free to give us a call or send us an email at accommodation@ue.ac.uk, and we'll be more than happy to pass it on again. Alternatively, if you can't find it or you forget to bring it with you, please don't worry. The team at Cotswold Court and Woolscourt Park can print off the key collection letters. So even if all else fails and you do forget that letter, we can still print it off when you come to collect your keys.
So this is a question for me. It's a change. So someone asked, how do we open a bank account? So if you haven't got a bank account already, it's as simple as walking to a bank and being like, I kind of want to open a bank account. And they're more than happy to open one, trust me. But if it's more of a how to open a student account question, so I was with Lloyds since the start and came back to them and said I would like to change my current account to a student account. And they ran through all the benefits that they offer. So you get a planned overdraft, which when you fall into, you have no extra charges whatsoever, and like a normal unplanned overdraft, which is there to help you pay for accommodation if you're struggling with money, or just to get you by. What I suggest is, if you are with your bank, look at other banks as well, what benefits they offer. So I know like Santander offer a free rail card, which is quite useful for students who live quite far away, tend to travel by train. But there's multiple benefits. There's some discounts on insurance, all sorts. So it's just a matter of Googling it. I think moneysavingexpert.com. They got a nice breakdown of who offers what and when. So just find out there, I'd say. But definitely would recommend one in case financial planning just goes out the window or something just happens. You never know what life brings at the end of the day. Okay, so this is back to Callum. Do you have to notify accommodation if I'm arriving at Quantock on Monday? I said that right? Quantock?
Quantock, cool. Yeah, Quantock's one of the student village blocks that we have. You don't have to notify us. When you did the e-induction, after you accepted your offer, we did ask for a rough idea of when you'd be arriving. But that was really, again, just so that we could have a rough idea of how many people to expect and staff areas accordingly. You don't need to give us necessarily advance notice. As I said, most of the places in the student village do start on Monday the 10th. However, if you're unsure, please log into your accommodation portal and that will show you when your contract starts. Alternatively, you can just call us directly. The one exception to that is Brecon Court. So if you're in Brecon Court, your contract is not starting until Friday the 14th. And unfortunately, we won't be able to arrange any kind of early arrivals for that. So if you're going to Brecon Court, please don't arrive before Friday the 14th, as we won't be able to give you your keys.
Somebody asked me again, getting popular now. How long does it take to get to and from the city centre? So thanks to the new metro buses, you can just hop on one and it'll take you to Frenchay, I think 15 minutes on a good day, and not in rush hour. Yeah, so I think, if you're living in the city centre, so Market Gate, Phoenix Court, Harbour Court, I think Cherry Court as well, Nelson and Drake,
Trenton House, Court.
All those. The Metrobus is literally in the very city centre. you just hop on and it will take you right here, no random stops. It is a buy a ticket before you hop on, so don't try to buy a ticket from a driver. Just
Where do you get the tickets from then?
So,
Is that in the-
yeah, there's a massive
Right.
like tour machine
Oh.
saying that, and it's just a tap, pop your card in, or just contactless, and it'll print you a ticket.
Or you
Or
can put it on your
yeah,
phone.
yeah, the mobile app's really good. It's slow, so probably get it ready before you get on the bus, where you'll be holding people up. But yeah, it roughly 15 minutes to get from the city centre to French and back. Yeah. And another one. Are there any night buses? Yes and no. So on certain lines, yes, I can't list any, but I know there are late buses. So the Metro bus does run for quite some time. So if you're coming from the city centre for any of the freshers events, or thinking of going to any events in town from French, there will be the Metro bus running on and on. I think it's until 3 or 4 a.m. latest. Don't count me. Don't count me against that. But yeah, just make sure. What I would recommend, city centre students getting stuck in French and vice versa, is check the bus times before you leave for a night out. Probably before you start any partying, just so you're aware of how you're going to get back, because when it hits that 4 a.m. and you have to transport back, it can be quite a struggle. And Uber is very expensive from city centre to here and back. It's like 30 quid. And somebody else has asked, are there any shops nearby for general groceries? So if you're living in Frenchay, there's a real retail park literally around the corner, and there's Asda there, so it's like a 10-minute walk. You got all sorts of food courts there as well. There's a Lidl nearby as well, it's like a 15-minute walk from here, from Frenchay. So there's quite the bargains around.
There's a big Sainsbury's as well.
There's a big Sainsbury's, guys.
Little co-op, like
Little
5
co-op.
minutes
Yeah,
away. Yeah.
exactly. So there are shops nearby in Frenchay. As for city centre, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's shops everywhere. There's Expresses, Tesco's there and there, so you can get food else everywhere. And there's a big Asda, I think, for a 15-minute walk from the centre. So yeah, you're not going to go hungry, that's for sure. Yes, that's about.
We've also got the small shops on campus as well for French campus
Yes, you
students.
do. Yes,
If you need a pint of milk or loaf of bread, there's
or
some shops on
anything else. Yes, we got two shops overall that are run by the ESU. So this is back to Liz. Can we sign up to regular weekly counselling sessions?
Students can have counselling while they're at UE. Like most agencies, like most institutions who provide counselling, we offer a short model of counselling, so we offer people up to 6 counselling appointments throughout the academic year. This is standard. This is the same amount of counselling wherever you go, unless you pay for it privately, in which case you can have for as long as you like. We stick to a 6-session model because it allows us to see as many students as possible. And students can have those 6 sessions of counselling 1 year, and then maybe they want to have more counselling appointments in the 2nd year, so they return. We have people who will come to us for counselling each of the 3 or more years that they're here. If you need mentoring or mental health support, that's slightly different because that's slightly more flexible and it can go on for slightly longer, slightly shorter, because every student's different. It's difficult to say you will get exactly this number of sessions. The students who receive counselling, we stick to the 6-session model, but they don't have to be weekly. You can spread them out as you like, because we know that people have differing timetables, people have placement commitments, people might have work, paid work outside of the university, but we always make sure that you see the same person for each of the counselling sessions that you have.
Amazing. Back to Callum. Can I use my uni address for all my posts? I'm saying I'm mad Amazon shopper. Can I send it all here rather than send it to my parents, who then be like, oh, I'm going to have to send it to you?
Yes, that's essentially that's fine. In regards to letters and very small or thin parcels, they will just be put directly into the letterbox. This is just speaking for Frenchay campus to begin with. So each flat does have its own letterbox that the general postman will have access to, and when you move in, you'll be given the padlock code for that. So anything small or thin like a letter, that can go in there. Anything bigger than that will be sent to the Quantock Court post room, and that will then be checked in and processed, and we will send out an automatic email to you once we've received that. And then once you've received that email, you can go down there and pick up any parcel you like. We will normally hold things for a little while, but please make sure that you do pick it up and don't just leave it there indefinitely. In regards to the city centre accommodation, it varies a little bit from property to property, but essentially it's the same system. You'll have a letterbox with a padlock for your individual flat, and then any large packages will be held by the security or the reception teams. They will hold that for you and can then give it to you when they notify you. And Glenside campus, again, each block and flat has its own letterbox system, but the parcels are sent to the porter's lodge, and similar to the post room, they will notify you when they have a package for you, and then you can just go down there and collect that when they're available.
So speaking from experience again, I said in Marketgate what happened was you had a postbox with a key, so anything like small or letters came through, you just pick it up there. And if it was anything bigger, the reception team would just send you an email saying there's a pass waiting for you downstairs that you just have to sign for. Simple as that. So back to Jodie, I think. What would my induction be like?
Well, it really varies from programme to programme. So we have the big ECC events in the registration hub are just general all-round queries about anything. But generally each programme also kind of starting from generally Monday the 17th, as most standard courses, will have kind of a week of induction that is just really specific to your programme. So all of those details are on the website if you don't have them, or they should have been sent through to your welcome portal. And that'll just give you a rough timetable, and it's normally things like meeting your academics, having a chat through what your programme's going to be like, what to expect for the upcoming year. There might be a few skills sessions, so maybe PC sessions. There's often inductions on the library and things like that. But yeah, it's normally quite programme specific.
Amazing. And then back to Callum. So 2 questions, one from me actually.
Okay.
So if I want to order a Domino's or takeaway in general, can I order it to the accommodation here at French A or any of the city centre? How does it work?
In regards to the city centre properties, of course those are right next to the main roads, so normally they would just turn up, they would contact you to let you know, and then you would have to go down and out the building to pick up your delivery, whatever it might be. In regards to French A campus, they won't always, in regards to things like takeaways and food deliveries, if it's a big shop, for example, like whether that's from Tesco or Asda, they will sometimes be given access into the student village or Walscourt Park, but you will need to be there to receive that shopping. We're not allowed to accept anything on behalf of you except for usual post. So if you're expecting a big food delivery, please be in when they come, otherwise we'll be sent back. In regards to things, again, like takeaways, it depends on how the takeaway driver comes in. A lot of the time they don't let the Eastgate reception know that they're coming, so they'll normally just wait down perhaps close to the bus stop or the taxi rank, and they will then contact you, and then you will have to go down and meet them there. Depending on where you are, that may change. So if you're at Carroll Court or the student village, that's probably quite close for you. However, if you're up at Walscourt Park, you will have a little bit of a further walk to do.
And also, is there any security around the halls?
Yes, so again, it varies a little bit depending on where you are. In regards to French A campus, we have the campus safety officers. They do nightly patrols around all of the courtyards, and they are there to respond to any kind of incidences and also just to provide some reassurance. So they are there every night. They also man Cotswold Court service desk 24 hours a day. So if you have anything that you want to discuss with someone, or there's anything going on that you want to mention, you can just call Cotswold Court directly, and they'll be happy to speak to you. In regard to Glenside campus, they do have less frequent patrols there, but there is an emergency number that you can contact, and there will also be some resident assistants there who, if there's anything going on that you want to report, or anything you just want to discuss with someone, you can contact them as well. In regards to the city centre properties, again, it does vary from building to building, but they will normally have some patrols going on, but there will also be a secure number that you can call. Again, if there's something you want to discuss or something you want to report, you can just call that number, and they will normally be with you quite quickly.
I think this is directed at everyone really, whoever can answer. So somebody said that I'm starting uni a bit later, will I miss much? How will it work? So go on, but honestly, what I would say.
So yeah, I mean, in terms of registration, like I said, the registration hub is open for 3 weeks, sort of after the start of term. So generally, you should be able to pop along to that if you have any registration problems, or if you need to pick up your student ID card. If you're not going to be here until after that, an email will go out to everybody who hasn't collected their student ID card, just letting you know where to get it, and it will probably be one of just the main information points. Again, first point of call for anything really. If you're not sure or you've just arrived and nothing seems to be open or working, is probably one of the main info points. So the main one up on French A campus is at the bottom of D block, very well signposted, and they'll be able to help you and direct you to anything.
And so if I miss out any crucial information about wellbeing in my inductions, say if I miss that, is there a way for me to find out more?
Yeah, we tend to do little slots in faculty inductions where we can, and we tend to talk to people just the same as what's on the website and the same as what I'm saying here today, to be honest. All the information about how to access wellbeing, it lasts for the whole year, it goes for the whole year, so there isn't anything specific you'd miss in induction that will never be repeated or never be available for the rest of the year.
And in terms of accommodation, so I'm moving in later, is my key going to be waiting there for me, or?
Yep, so if you're coming outside of the standard welcome week, the keys will be moved up if you're at Glenside or the Hollies to French A campus. So all you'll need to do is go to French A campus first to pick up your keys, and then you can carry on to Glenside or the Hollies, and then you'll be able to pick the keys up and move in then. If you're on French A, all of the keys will just be moved over to Cotswold Court, which, like I said, is manned 24 hours a day, so you should be able to move in any time. And regards to the Unite and City Centre properties, if you do turn up significantly later than the usual start date, there will be a contact number that you can call who will be able to come to you and let you in.
And in terms of just general starting uni later, the only thing you really miss is the initial kind of getting to know each other. So if you're missing the first week of your course, for example, I think it's quite vital to be there. So I remember I missed my first week back into the second term, and there's a lot of information you just miss out, especially after such a long break. But in terms of your very first year, all the freshers events, where kind of you'll start socialising with your flatmates, just finding more about the union, just kind of being on campus. If you unfortunately do miss that, then I advise, probably when you do roll up, just to kind of ask the people you're living with to show you around, or ask what they know and share their information with you, just to kind of give you that little kickstart, if they can. See. Some more questions, here we go. So back to Callum.
Thank you so much.
How far is Mendip Court to the law school? So do you like step
I haven't
count?
counted steps. Well, Mendip Court is part of the student village. If we're looking at the new Bristol Business and Law School, it's probably less than a 5-minute walk. It's not a far distance at all. Allscourt Park is very slightly closer, but it's a matter of 30 seconds or more.
Have you timed it?
I haven't timed it myself.
I think if you put it, if you put it into perspective, if you roll out of bed and your alarm didn't go off and you've got 15 minutes to make a business school, I think you'll be fine.
Just give yourself 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You should be
Refresh and go.
There's a coffee shop there, so you can get
Yeah, you get coffee on the way.
Back to me. Do we need tickets for freshers events? Yes and no. So some fresher events will be ticketed. You can buy it on the Student Union website. Just go on there, have all the welcome events. Just buy them. You also can get wristbands. So there's silver and gold. Both. So the silver will get you in on just main events, and the golden will get you to all ticketed events. So you just flash it, and they're like, cool, great, go. And it gets you queue jump until 11:30. But apart from that, yeah, most events are ticketed, so just make sure you get yours to avoid any disappointment, I'd say. Especially the closing pie, which seems to sell out fastest. And everyone to me. Here we go. When do clubs start, and how do I sign up? So clubs start normally in October, so the second weekend. So like for sports clubs, you get like football, rugby, you tend to get trials in October. If you want to go for the competitive side, and if you want to go for the social side, at the same time, you just kind of sign up and they'll allocate you to a team. As for societies, every society starts on a different day, really. Some are more instant. So, for example, I know the Video Game Society, they just mingle with each other online on Discord and from the get-go, and then just pan from there. So it's really up to the society, the sport. So I think the most important part is to show up for freshers fair. That's what every society and club is. Sign up there, get talking, and just find out there. And you get loads of freebies there, so I'm sure you won't get bored. Another one. Do you recommend getting a job outside of uni? Are there any jobs on site? So obviously it all depends on your financial situation. So if you say that throughout summer for uni, then sure, great. But I'm sure your money will run out coming Christmas time when it comes to buying presents and realising that you have to pay for bills and water costs like £1.50 per bottle.
But you would recycle.
Yeah, you'll buy a reusable cup and refill
lots of
at water
fountains.
stations.
Yeah.
But yes, I would recommend getting a job outside of uni. But not immediately. So don't start applying for jobs now. I'd say just first go into your course, find out what the timetable is, how much work you're going to have to dedicate in your own time. So I know ARCS courses are quite heavy on self-directed study. So you may think you're only 2-3 days a week, but you actually end up working 5 days at home, heads down, kind of painting or whatever you like doing. So yeah, I think first see what your course is like, how intense it is, and then judge that how much free time you have for yourself, for your leisure, and then how much you can put into work. At the end of the day, it just pays for bills and just takes that stress away so you don't have to go to Wellbeing.
Actually, I was going to say a really useful thing to remember, because we do see a lot of people who present in terrible stress about money because money. The Money Advice and Funds team, they do a lot of workshops for students about how to manage your money and how to budget and how to plan for these kind of things. And they recommend, they say, I think less than 16 hours a week. They would recommend it 16 hours at the very most for students working a part-time job.
So I'd say like if 16 hours a week, just coffee shop around the corner, just anything really, something simple that doesn't drain you, has ridiculous hours, because you've got to realise if you say working in a nightclub and you're doing from 11 till 4 in the morning, you have a lecture at 9, not much sleep you're on there. In terms of are there any jobs on site, so the Student Union offers a lot of jobs. So you can go onto the job shop on there, and they'll offer a lot of places in terms of bar work, just being a welcome rep, just get involved. Just go on there, it's the Student Union website, job shop, and just see what's available. They also have outsourced jobs as well, so places like Tesco's and stuff will advertise on them as well if they need student staff, and it's all very much like they're aware they're employing students, so every student has its own time they need off. So it's not very much, oh God, how can I'm getting into this job now, I have to commit. It's kind of just prep, get in there and go. Right, that is it for my question. Next round, here we go. So back to Liz, enough from me. Can I call the emergency contact centre if I arrive after opening hours?
Emergency contact centre as in?
I guess the emergency number. That's what the question states.
It's a good question. Can I call the emergency contact centre if I arrive after opening hours? Do you mean if you arrive? Well, the poor person can't respond to me, so I don't know.
Opening hours of reception.
Of the wellbeing service? Or... Because if you mean... Well, the problem is there's an awful lot of different services within the university with different opening hours. If you're trying to get someone from accommodation after opening hours, I don't know who you would call.
Yeah, so just to mention accommodation, if you are inquiring about accommodation, if in doubt, just call Cotswold Court. The number is on the website. That is manned 24 hours a day. So if you've got locked out or you've turned up and you can't get into your property or you don't know where to collect your keys, if in doubt, just call Cotswold Court directly. And if they need to get hold of a more senior member of accommodation staff, they're the ones who can do it. Alternatively, of course, you can contact the East Gate reception if there's anything else going on, and they'll be happy to direct you to the appropriate person if it is accommodation that you're looking for.
And if it's a sort of personal emergency outside of working hours and you want to speak to somebody in the wellbeing service, we're not available out of hours. There is a new out of hours team who are currently being recruited, who are different from the wellbeing team. At this point, I don't exactly know what their service is going to be, but I understand they're going to be an extension of the campus security officers, so that they can answer some questions out of hours, but they won't be clinically trained in the same way the counsellors and practitioners will be. If you're having a personal emergency out of wellbeing service opening hours, before the out of hours team kicks in, then it might be that you need to speak to NHS 111 if you want some advice, or it might be that you want to talk to the Samaritans on, is it 116 123? I believe that's the number. the Samaritans are very Googleable and direct to speak to if you need help outside working hours. But yes, the Wellbeing Service just runs Monday, Friday 9 to 5.
And keep in mind, like I said, if you are up on campus, on Frenchay or down at Glenside, like I said, Cotswold is manned 24 hours a day. We have night staff there. If you just want someone to talk to, the CSOs who work there are more than happy to keep you company. They are lovely too. So please don't feel, you know, if you just want to talk to someone at the university about anything at all, they're 24 hours a day.
So, don't stop talking, here we go, another one. Does the equipment in the halls come with guides? So if I don't know how to use a toaster, is there going to be like a step-by-step guide?
Well, the good thing is we don't provide a toaster.
I do.
So if you want a toaster, you can bring your own, but perhaps wait to see if anyone else brings a toaster. In regards to what's included within the room, I don't think there's too much that's complicated. You have a lamp with a switch, so that's pretty self-explanatory.
Radiator?
The radiator?
Yeah, on the wall?
Oh, right. So in regards to like the heating that goes on within accommodation, that is put on a timer depending on the season that we're looking at. If you find that you're still very cold within your room, you can contact the accommodation services team and they'll be happy to provide a personal heater for that purpose. Please don't bring your own heater if you can. We are happy to supply you one just because we like to know which heaters we've got in which rooms for fire safety reasons. But yeah, if there is anything that you're struggling, you don't know how to use in regards to like the automatic doors or anything else around accommodation, feel free to contact the Cotswold Court Customer Service team and we'll help you as best we can.
Cotswold Court Customer Service team, that's a bit of a mouthful to say.
I've been very careful.
Well, that's it for questions. Thank you very much for coming and answering all our questions, my questions and their questions. And if you have any more questions that we've missed out today or just want us to kind of expand on, send it through our kind of social media, so Facebook or Instagram. And on Instagram we'll post it on the story so everyone can see. Yeah, that's it really. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.